Have you ever felt a bit lost after retiring, like your days suddenly had no direction? For many older adults, retirement feels less like freedom and more like floating in a strange kind of quiet. The structure is gone, the identity built over. Many years faded. The calendar that was once full now sits mostly empty. And though rest was long needed, something still feels off. Maybe you've even caught yourself wondering, is this really it? But here's the thing, not all older adults feel this way. Some step into retirement and come alive in ways they never imagined. And what separates them from the rest isn't money or luck or even health. It's the small things they do regularly, on purpose, that shape each day into something meaningful. In this talk, we're going to walk through 8 powerful habits that help older adults avoid the loneliness, confusion, and emotional drift that so often sneak in after retirement. These aren't big, complicated life changes. They're simple, doable steps you can take to bring purpose, beat, and connection back into your days, even if you've been feeling a bit lost. Stay with me until the end, because we're not just listing tips. We're digging deep into the thinking behind why these work and how each one can help rebuild your sense of self, one quiet, powerful moment at a time. Let's get started. Number 1. A steady morning pattern. One of the clearest signs that a retired person is not feeling lost is the way they begin their day. A solid, expected morning pattern may seem like a small thing, but it has a powerful mental effect. It tells your brain, I still have somewhere to be. I still have something to do. And that message alone can reshape your entire day. You don't need a complex schedule or a long checklist. It can be as simple as waking up at the same time each morning, making your bed, stretching your legs, and sitting down with a cup of coffee in the same sunny spot. That's not just routine, it's rhythm. And rhythm is what most people lose after they stop working. When every day looks the same, the mind starts to drift, and that's when boredom turns into something heavier, like sadness or confusion about your place in the world. The mental power of a routine lies in something called thinking anchoring. It grounds you. It gives your day a beginning, and that makes it easier to move forward with purpose. It's why military veterans, athletes, and successful artists often swear by their morning acts, because routine creates push, and push brings back meaning. I knew a man named Harold. He was 79 when he retired from his second career. At first, he enjoyed the freedom. No alarm clocks, no deadlines. But within a few months, he started sleeping in late, skipping breakfast, and turning on the television as soon as he got up. Slowly, he started to feel dull, even though nothing was wrong on the surface. Then one day, he decided to try something different. He began waking up at 7 o'clock every morning, shaving, getting dressed, and going for a 15-minute walk around the block. That tiny shift changed everything. He told me, I don't feel retired anymore. I just feel free with direction. If you've been waking up without a plan, start there. Choose 2 or 3 things you'll do each morning. Something physical, something calming, and something that signals the day has begun. You don't need a reason to do it. The routine is the reason, and over time, it becomes the frame that holds the rest of your life together. Number 2, a new role or identity. One of the most common feeling hurdles after retirement is the sudden loss of identity. For many years, who you were might have been tied closely to what you did: teacher, engineer, nurse, business owner, or builder. And when that title goes away, it's not just the job that's gone. It's the talks, the sense of worth, the reason to get dressed in the morning. But those who do well after retirement don't just let go of the old role. They replace it with something new. Taking on a new role doesn't have to mean starting a second career or making a big statement. It simply means seeing yourself in a way that feels meaningful. Maybe you become the neighborhood fixer-upper. Maybe you start calling yourself a gardener, a writer, a grandchild's guide, or the family memory keeper. The title doesn't have to be big. It just has to feel true to you. Mentally, humans need identity. It helps shape our sense of belonging and purpose. Without it, days blend together and self-worth can quietly wear away. But once you give yourself leave to take on a new identity, your brain starts to build structure around it. You begin to ask different questions. What would a woodworker do with this weekend? What would a community helper do with their mornings? Those questions lead to action, and action brings back clearness. I remember speaking with a woman named Nancy, 72 years old, who had been a high school guide for most of her life. After she retired, She felt completely adrift. Then, after helping a friend through a hard time, she realized she still had that gift for listening. She started hosting what she called coffee chats for other women in her building, just casual get-togethers to talk through life's ups and downs. She told me, "I don't work anymore, but I'm still a guide. I just don't have the office anymore." That shift in how she saw herself changed everything. Her trust returned, her calendar started filling, and the people around her began to show back that sense of worth because she believed it first. If you've been feeling like a former version of yourself, like you're stuck in the in-between, try choosing a new name for this chapter of your life. Call yourself something. Claim something, even if no one else does at first. Because identity isn't about what you've lost. It's about what you're building now. If you're still watching this talk and finding these thoughts useful, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't signed up yet, I suggest you sign up and turn on the bell so you don't miss any talks. Your backing helps us keep making good content to inform and spark you. Now let's move forward. Number 3, reconnecting with old loves or pastimes. Another key trait of older adults who don't feel lost after retirement is that they find again something they used to love but may have set aside years ago. Passion doesn't go away with age. It just gets buried under timetables, duties, and the noise of daily life. But when the distractions fall away and the pressure to perform is lifted, what's left behind is a quiet chance to pick up where you left off. Many people think they need to find a new hobby after retirement, but in truth, the best ones are often the old ones, the things that made you feel alive when you were younger, the acts that made time vanish. Tinkering with cars, working with wood, writing poems you never showed anyone. These aren't just ways to pass time. They're windows back into who you've always been. From a mental view, reconnecting with past interests triggers something called memory-brought emotion. This means that doing something known from the past brings up old good feelings that strengthen your current sense of self and joy. It's more than fun, it's feeling healing. You remember not only how to do something, but how it made you feel, and that feeling brings warmth, clearness, and excitement back into your life. I once met a man named Roger, 76, who used to play mouth organ in a local blues group when he was in his 20s. After starting a family and working for many years in shipping, that mouth organ sat untouched in a drawer. 5 years after retiring, on a quiet winter evening, he picked it up again. It felt clumsy at first, but his hands remembered. Within weeks, he was playing again at the senior center down the road. He said, "I thought that part of me was gone. Turns out it was just waiting." That's often all it takes, a quiet hour, a gentle nudge, and a little wonder. And the beauty of retirement is that you finally have the space to follow that wonder without pressure. You don't need to be good at it. You just need to enjoy it. You don't need to turn it into something useful. You just need to let it remind you that you're more than a work history or a role you once held. If you can't think of a hobby right away, try thinking in groups. What did you used to do with your hands? What did you do just for fun before life got too busy? What did you stop doing? Not because you didn't love it, but because something else became more pressing. Once you reconnect with that part of yourself, something neat happens. The days don't feel so empty anymore, because now they're filled with bits of the real you, the parts that never got old. They just got quiet. Number 4, staying physically busy with purpose. One of the easiest traps to fall into after retirement is slowing down just a little too much. And it's not just about body health. It's about energy, clearness, and feeling steady. The retirees who feel grounded and fully alive aren't always the ones lifting weights or running long races. They're the ones who move their bodies on purpose, in ways that feel meaningful, steady, and linked to life. Physical activity does something key inside the brain. It helps control body chemicals like dopamine and serotonin, chemicals tied to happiness, focus, and drive. It also helps sleep, which is one of the first things to get upset when your daily routine goes away. But even more than that, regular movement tells your nervous system that you're still here, still taking part, still choosing to join in life, not just watch it. It's not about how hard, it's about why. Some older adults walk their dog every morning and say hello to neighbors along the way. Others join a Tai Chi class at the local community center. Some garden, rake leaves, or dance slowly in the living room with music from the old days playing softly. These aren't workouts, they're acts. And acts build rhythm. There's also something called body thinking. the mental rule that movement and thought are deeply linked. In other words, when your body moves with purpose, your mind becomes clearer. You think better. You look back better. You feel better. Let me tell you about Patricia. She's 81, widowed, and lives alone in a quiet suburb. For a while after her husband passed, she stayed in, barely moved, watched the seasons pass from the window. Then one spring morning, she joined a walking club at the local church. It wasn't fast-paced or trying to be the best, just a group of 5 women who walked the neighborhood 3 times a week. The change in her manner was clear. Her voice got stronger. Her steps became more sure. She said, "I used to feel like the world was getting smaller. Now I feel like I'm part of it again." And that's exactly what movement does. It pulls you back into taking part. It tells your legs they're still needed, your heart it still matters, and your being there, it still counts. Out if you're feeling cut off or low on energy, try moving with purpose, something small, something steady. Even 10 minutes outside, breathing fresh air and stretching your arms and legs can begin to shift your body chemistry. You'll notice it in how you think, how you sleep, and how you mix with others, because motion creates push, and push carries. Meaning that if you're still watching this talk and finding these thoughts useful, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't signed up yet, I suggest you sign up and turn on the bell so you don't miss any talks. Your backing helps us keep making good content to inform and spark you. Now let's move forward. Number 5, growing one-on-one bonds. After retirement, one of the most surprising shifts is how your social world begins to shrink. Without the built-in chats from work, many people find themselves going days or even weeks without deep talking. The retirees who don't get lost in that quiet are the ones who put depth over how often. They don't just socialize, they connect. That it's not about being the most outgoing person in the room or filling your calendar with events. It's about keeping real one-on-one talks that make you feel seen and heard. Whether it's a phone call with an old friend, a long chat over coffee with a neighbor, or a walk around the block with someone who listens more than they talk. Those quiet swaps are what refill your feeling tank. From a mental view, deep person-to-person bond wakes up areas of the brain linked to reward and feeling control. It cuts stress, boosts strength, and even helps protect memory and thinking function as you age. In short, when you feel linked, you feel alive. I remember a man named Joe. He was 74 and had been retired for nearly 10 years. When I asked him how he stayed so feeling steady, he said, "Every Wednesday, I call my old fishing buddy from Ohio. We talk about everything and nothing. That one call keeps me grounded for the whole week." That's it, one deep link. Not loud, not flashy, just real. The truth is, you don't need a crowd. You need steadiness. A few ties that you water often. People who know your stories and still want to hear them again. People who let you pause in the middle of a line and finish when you're ready. That kind of being there is rare and dear. If you felt cut off, you're not alone. But someone out there likely misses hearing your voice just as much as you miss theirs. Start with one person, one true talk. It could be a brother or sister, a cousin, a neighbor, or someone you haven't spoken to in years. The goal isn't to fix loneliness right away. It's to rebuild bonds one moment at a time. And sometimes that moment starts with you making the first call. Number 6, helping or giving in small ways. One strong difference between older adults who feel lost and those who feel fulfilled is how they relate to others, not in terms of what they get, but in what they give. Helping doesn't just help the world, it helps you remember your own worth. And it doesn't have to be big or public or even planned. Sometimes the smallest acts create the biggest inside shift. Mind doctors call this good for others behavior, and it's deeply tied to purpose and feeling well-being. When you serve others, whether by offering your time, focus, or even just your being there, you wake up parts of the brain linked with meaning and bonds. You feel useful, alive. And for many retirees, that feeling is more key than any pay ever was. The service doesn't need a title or a group. Maybe you walk a neighbor's dog because they can't. Maybe you drive someone to a doctor's visit or sit beside a friend while they wait for test results. Maybe you bring soup to someone who's hurting. These aren't acts of charity. They're acts of shared being human. Let me tell you about Robert, 79, who never saw himself as a helper type. But after his wife passed, he found himself with long afternoons and too much quiet. One day, he saw a paper at the grocery store asking for help at the local library's reading hour. He decided to show up just once. That was 4 years ago. Today, he reads to kids every Tuesday, and he says, "Those 30 minutes remind me I still have something to give. And they remind me that I still have something to feel." That's the quiet beauty of giving. It pulls you out of your own head and into someone else's story. It keeps your heart soft, your being there valued, and your life full of meaning, not because you're saving anyone, but because you're linking with them. If you're not sure where to start, begin with your circle. Is there someone who could use a check-in, a ride, a meal, or simply your company? You don't have to fix anyone's life. You just have to show up. When you do, you'll notice that you don't feel quite so lost anymore, because helping someone else find their ground often brings you back to your own. If you're still watching this talk and finding these thoughts useful, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't signed up yet, I suggest you sign up and turn on the bell so you don't miss any talks. Your backing helps us keep making good content to inform and spark you. Now let's move forward. Number 7, staying away from passive taking and keeping mentally busy. One of the silent dangers of retirement is the pull to spend large parts of the day in passive taking in, endless television, scrolling through news, or simply letting the hours drift without aim. While some downtime is healthy, too much of it can quietly drain your mental energy and leave you feeling cut off from life. The retirees who don't feel lost are the ones who keep busy, not just amuse themselves. Staying mentally busy doesn't mean joining a college or mastering something hard. It simply means choosing acts that spark your mind rather than lull it. Reading a good book, doing puzzles, writing down your thoughts, learning a new recipe, or watching a show that makes you think. These are small but mighty choices that keep your brain alert and your spirit curious. There's a rule in brain thinking called brain change, which means your brain keeps growing and fitting well into older age as long as you keep using it. The more you test your thinking, the more you make stronger mental sharpness, memory, and feeling control. In fact, studies have shown that older adults who stay mentally sparked feel less mind drop and report higher levels of life joy. I remember Ellen, 84, who told me she started a little notebook after retirement titled "Things I'm Still Learning." Every day, she would jot down one new thing, a word she didn't know, a quote she liked, a bird she saw in the yard. That simple habit gave her a sense of going forward. She said, "Just because I'm older doesn't mean I've stopped growing. I'm just growing more quietly now." That's the kind of busy that matters. It's not about proving something. It's about feeding the part of you that still wants to find out, still wants to make, still wants to understand. Passive habits might fill the time, but busy ones fill the heart and mind. If you found yourself reaching for the remote out of habit more than joy, try changing the pattern just a little. Replace 30 minutes of TV with something that asks you to think or feel. It doesn't have to be complex, just on purpose. Because every time you test your mind, you make stronger your being in the world. And that's one of the clearest signs that you're not lost, you're still choosing to be here. Number 8, making a weekly beat to look forward to. One of the quiet reasons many older adults feel adrift after retirement is because their days all start to look the same. Without meetings, cut-off times, or regular events, time can begin to feel shapeless, like one long, unbroken stretch. But those who stay grounded and fulfilled after retirement often have one strong thing in common. They build a weekly beat. Something to look forward to, something to count on. It doesn't have to be fancy. In fact, the simpler it is, the better. It might be a Friday walk to the farmer's market, Sunday lunch with an old friend, or a Wednesday morning coffee at the same cafe where they read the paper and chat with the worker. What matters isn't the size of the event, it's the meaning tied to it. In the mind, this is linked to what researchers call waiting for reward. It means your brain feels a good feeling lift before the event even happens. Just knowing something nice is coming builds joy, keeps your days sorted, and gives purpose to the space between. It adds structure back into your week without needing a job or a full calendar. Think about it this way. Children do well when they know what's coming next. So do grown-ups. So do we. That beat makes feeling safety. It gives you a small sense of control, and it reminds you that your life still has speed and pattern, even if you're the one making it now. I once spoke with Leonard, 78, who told me about his Tuesday routine. Every Tuesday, Without fail, he made a pot of homemade spicy stew, watched an old Western movie, and called his daughter in Arizona. He said, "It's simple, but it's mine, and it gives my week a heartbeat." That heartbeat, that expectable little joy, is what makes retirement feel less like drifting and more like living. If you've lost track of time lately, try choosing just one act to fix your week. Something small, something that can be done again. Then stick to it. Over time, those little acts begin to form the outline of a life that feels steady, personal, and alive again. Because when you start looking forward to something, even something quiet, you give your future a shape. And in doing that, you remind yourself that your days still have purpose and your now still matters. Final thoughts. As we wrap up this talk, I want you to take a quiet moment to think. Which of these 8 habits spoke to you the most? Was it the idea of finding a beat again? Or maybe the thought of picking up something you once loved? Maybe you've already been doing a few of these things without knowing how key they are. Or maybe today is your wake-up call that being retired doesn't mean being done. It just means you get to write your own rules now. The truth is, most older adults do feel a little lost after retirement. It's not a failing. It's a natural part of stepping away from many years of structure, identity, and push. But what sets apart those who get stuck from those who do well isn't age, skill, or money. It's choice. It's aim. It's deciding to show up for yourself again, even in the smallest of ways. Because these simple habits we talked about today, they're not jobs. They're calls to reconnect, to take back your life in a way that feels true and meaningful. So what's one thing you're going to try this week? One small change that moves you from drifting to choosing? I'd love to hear about it. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are key to us, so don't hold back from sharing them. Reading your comments gives us great drive and backing. If you enjoyed this talk and found it helpful, please like, sign up, and share. Your support helps us keep making good content to inform and spark you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next talk.